On this episode of Behind a Sign Podcast, a sign journey with Bob Chapa, sponsored by France Lighting Solutions. Hello and welcome to another Behind a Sign. I'm Scott Cutcher. This is sponsored by France Lighting Solutions, and today I'm honored to be sitting in a new facility at Bob Chapa's place, right?
Thank you. Indeed, thank you.
And Bob, you have an interesting background. So I want to start off, the whole point of us sitting down is just getting everyone's perspective, right, in the sign industry, what you guys are up against every day, all the stuff you've gone through to get here. I think those stories are important. So just sit back, relax, and we're going to have some fun.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay. So number one, tell us how in the heck you got to this beautiful building. I remember visiting you years ago in a different role that I played, and you were in a smaller place.
Sure.
It was nice, but a lot smaller than here. And I know you've gone through a progression, right? So tell us a little bit about that and how
Sure.
you got here.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting story in the sign industry. I'm a second generation sign guy, very proud of that. I grew up in a family-owned sign company, an independent sign company here in the Michigan area. When I was 10 years old, my dad would kick the bed on a Saturday morning, and I'd have to go load up in the truck and work on cleaning up the shop, cutting aluminum,
Right.
whatever needed to happen
Right.
on the weekend. And that's really how I learned the roots. That's really how I learned the manufacturing side, thinking big. The family business did extremely well when I was younger. But what I realized at that time was, as an independent sign company, everybody felt like your competition.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like whether it was a sign shop down the street in a neighboring city, certainly on the other side of the state or in any other state, everybody was sort of vying for all of the work and all of the projects. And I had zero interest in being in the sign industry. My
Really?
plan was never to have this become my career path.
Wow.
Went off to college to be an architect.
Oh.
Big dreams of designing
Yeah.
buildings and public spaces. And by the time I was about halfway through college, I was fortunate enough, the apartment that I was living in, right across the street, a brand new Signorama location opened.
Really?
And I just remember sort of laughing and thinking, after all those years in the sign business and being in the bucket truck all summer long and going through all the motions for a sign company to open up right across the street from when I finally moved out was really interesting. And it turned out to be a really incredible opportunity. In fact, my parents at the time, they had sold their business. They had moved into other career paths. There was really no interest in really thinking about what that might look like. And I walked in one night to the now hiring sign about 2 weeks after Signorama opened. And I met Ed and Joanne, the original owners. Certainly two of the greatest people that I've ever worked with, two fantastic mentors. And I fixed their plotter, which was broken, couldn't get it running.
No
Fixed
kidding.
their plotter, caught up their production, and that was really my job interview. So I was
No kidding.
I was hired as the first graphic designer, the first production person at the shop, and the rest is sort of history. Next year we'll be celebrating our 25th year.
No kidding.
About 2.5 years after I started working at the Signorama that had just opened, I had finished, got my degree. They made me an offer to run the company. It was either I was also getting married. My wife and I were ready to get the family started and really start thinking about things. It was either go be an apprentice architect and run blueprints all day, or really launch the sign company that I was excited to be a part of. And what I realized, contrary to what most people think in the franchising world, I realized very quickly that Signorama was different than the independent sign company that I was used to.
Okay.
In fact, even back then, there was only about 100 Signoramas in the whole country, and everyone wanted to help. It didn't matter
Really?
if they were in business for 6 months or 6 years. Everyone wanted to help. And it was really eye-opening. It was very exciting. I felt like I was a part of something much bigger.
Yeah.
And it also helped that I had a lot of experience and a lot of background, so I kind of hit the ground running, made some great friends around the country. And after running Signorama for a few years, I made them an offer to buy the business. So for a little while, I was the youngest franchisee in the system, and really kind of took over and started dreaming big, started thinking about how to run a sign company more as a business and how to support our customers when they're growing and what our company could do to look different and to be different. And as we approach 25 years, we've moved 5 times. We're now in our new headquarters space, 88,000 square foot facility.
It's an amazing facility.
There's a lot going on. I have a phenomenal team. Most of my day now is really just developing the people, developing the team, recruiting some excellent talent, focusing on our future and our vision.
Sure.
They don't let me touch signs much anymore. Sort of a joke
I saw you
around
do that
here.
the other day.
But you noticed I had to do it quickly.
You had to slide in there.
I had to do it when nobody was looking. So
you did.
I have to be careful. But yeah, the truth is I live and breathe signs. I can't get away from it. I can't not think about it.
Right.
We go on vacation, and my daughter jokes now. She actually started an Instagram page years ago called Dad on Vacation, and it's literally just me touching signs wherever we're at. It's a bit of a sickness. It's hard to get away from.
That is funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. It's funny. Daughters and Instagrams, right? So my daughter just threw up one for me. She's my intern, and it's for Core, and it's nothing but crappy signs.
Yeah.
So every time I see a crappy sign, I'm taking a picture. What do you think? Why this one sucks so bad?
I love it.
We just started. Literally a week ago.
There's
so.
plenty out there for that.
Oh my gosh,
sure.
it's actually disturbing, and we'll get into that a little bit. It's as you well know, my background's different, but 32 years in the industry, and it's changed so much. I mean, it's just changed a ton. And it's one of those things where you look at an industry you love, and we both love this industry, and you go, okay, where are we going?
Yeah.
Right? Where are we going? What do we need to get back to as a foundation, and what do we need to innovate on top of that foundation? What do we need to do to innovate on top of that foundation, right?
Ooh, interesting.
So that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So let's peel that onion.
Dig into that one?
Yeah, let's dig into that one a little bit, because you've got a lot of experience, from practical experience all the way up into corporate, right? So you understand, you are one of the most unique people I've had on, because you have the whole facet from family to franchise to now going more corporate. And we can talk a little bit more about national branding if you like
Sure.
and where that how that parlays in. Yeah, I mean, I think you're uniquely qualified to peel this onion with me.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. It's I'll tell you, even after 25 years of running my sign company and 10 plus years ahead of that, I'm constantly surprised at the changes in the industry. Right when I think that we've developed to a level that is untouchable, or we're not going to scale past that, the industry changes again. There's always a left turn. There's always a pivot. And I can think about some of those big changes that happened in the industry in my time, that I look back at now and I just think, I don't even know how we did that before. It shocks me the sheer amount of work that went into getting projects completed before.
Yeah.
Technology, I'm a big tech buff. I love technology, not only to solve our workflow issues, but also to help with our communication and our tracking for our clients.
Right.
And I remember the days when I didn't believe that digital printing was even going to be a thing. Me
too.
I've
I get
weeded
it.
so much vinyl in my day that I just remember thinking, who is really going to buy these big monster printers and figure out how to print a banner when I can have that done? I can have 3 or 4 colors, squeegee down on that banner in 10 minutes. Why would anybody waste their time and all that money? And now you literally can't live without them. I mean, you just can't. I don't know how many printers we have back in the shop now. It's just everything changes. And now, not only the cost of that equipment really come down, but the caliber of print that you get, the confidence that you're not going to be repairing the machine all the time. The technology's just changed so much.
It has.
And I think forward to a few other leaps, communication with clients. Back in my original days, my mentors were telling me, this is before email, I have to admit.
Right.
So my mentors would tell me, you never call the customer and give them the price over the phone.
I heard the same
you'd
thing.
go to sales training, you'd go to coaching sessions, and they would tell you go in person.
Yes.
If you're going to give a customer a quote, I don't care if it's $200 or $25,000, that better be a face-to-face meeting.
You bet.
And I can tell you now, you fast forward to 2024.
They don't want a face-to-face.
My very best customers would rather have an evening and go out to dinner and not talk about projects, but they would much rather get that quote by text, by email, in some automated fashion where they just know what's coming through. And you really have to stay ahead of that. I think that there's a lot of sign companies out there that they just want to fight that. They don't want to get into technology, and and understanding what the customers are looking for. It's a new generation. It's a younger generation ordering signs now.
It is.
If I said I'd really love to come meet you and give you your quote, most of them would just say, what do you mean you need to come and meet me to give me the quote?
Right.
Can you just send me the rendering in 3D and show me what my building's going to look like?
Exactly. This ain't Amway.
Yeah,
I'm not meeting a bunch of people in a room that I don't know.
Exactly. Everybody's busy. Everybody has their screens in their face all the time.
Oh,
so it's just a lot of change. Most of it's for the good. Some of it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit of that personal feel with a good client when you don't get to spend time with them.
So how do you keep that and use technology at the same time?
I think I find with my team, with my sales teams, my project managers, I think what we focus on more is the relationship besides the signs, if that makes sense.
So you actually care about the individual?
It's really crazy, right? And in a world where our products can be a commodity, you can buy most of what we do online, we have to constantly reassure our customers that we're a custom manufacturing business.
I've got a great story for you.
And you have to have a relationship with them for them to feel confident.
Yeah.
If it's just a quick print of something, they can order that from 20 places.
Oh, absolutely.
That's easy. But taking care of them long term for whatever they need, that's a relationship.
Oh, for sure. I got a great story about that. I have to interject this. You'll love it. Because you've got to know our new GM at France real well, one of the companies I rep, and they just... I hate to say it because I don't want his head to get big, but I love the guy.
Sure.
I think he's the best thing that's happened to France in 50 years. But when he first got there, you're going to love this. I'm an independent rep. They were nice enough to give me an office in their space when I started doing consulting work for them and then became their rep. And he walks into my office and he goes, "Hey, Scott." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I got a question. Since I can go online to Etsy and get my signage, are we in the wrong business?" Right? And what he was doing is I found out about him, he's brilliant. And what he's trying to do is say, are you convicted? Do you have data to support it? And can you prove it to me? And if you do, I'm going to put so much resources behind growing this thing, it's going to blow your stinking mind. Yeah. And I didn't know that at the time. So I thought, are you kidding me? Now, I know you were a superstar at Hubble Lighting, but dude, you're now in my world. I'm going to show you some stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, I just smiled and said, all right. You up for a road trip? He goes, yeah. So I'm going to arrange it. So I called my buddies over at A1 Signs. I said, you mind if we come in? I want to introduce you to a new GM. And let him, just give me a little shop tour. I knew they had the jewelry program in there and we're spec'd in with all of our power supplies. They love our power supplies, right? And back then we didn't have the lineup we have now, right? We were just starting to build it. And so we walk in and here's this, I bet it was 20 by 60 foot jewelry just lined with our power supplies. And he went, oh, I get it. We are in the right business. And then he started asking better questions, and it just one thing led another. And then, as you well know, he's put a foot on the gas.
Oh, absolutely.
An amazing development team and just killing it, and we're just growing like crazy. And it's just funny, but you're right. People go, well, internet, what do I need? And what you need is craftsmen. You need people that understand, to some degree, architecture, right? How are you going to blend that design in? I'm sure you spend time with your designers and people because of your background saying, hey, let's take into account the environment that's being installed. That matters, right? So,
well, I think, from my perspective, Kyle's a bit of a unicorn.
He is. He is.
I am always drawn to people that are very analytical, that they're thinking about everything that's happening right now, but they're also thinking about 5 steps ahead.
Oh, every time.
And he's incredibly personable.
He is. He's fun.
He is a relationship guy, which typically the people that are overly analytical are not the ones that have the relationship skills. Right. So he's been fantastic. Every chance that we've had to work together, collaborate, and chat has been great. Yeah,
he feels the same way. And, I think that the industry as a whole is looking to people what you're doing, what France is doing, what I'm trying to do, I hope, and going, okay, show us the next step, right? It's been this way a long time. All these changes are happening. How do we navigate it? Yeah. So everything from distribution, shifting to different types of products that people really want, some they aren't crazy about, to people buying each other, to large companies just shutting down. But Blocky went out, I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah. Right? So let's talk a little bit about the landscape, how the landscape's changing. And what you see as the next, okay, if it's changing like this is where we need to be in order to not only navigate it, but be of value to the end user.
Sure.
Right?
Being in the franchising side, so really coming up in the industry in the franchising side is not a traditional path. And I've I've been able to embrace that. I
Sure.
have some of the strongest relationships with sign company owners all over the country, all over North America, truthfully all over the world. And the reality is everybody looks at things from a slightly different lens.
Oh yeah.
And that's been great for me to build some relationships with people that are thinking about things differently.
Right.
The biggest change that we've been able to see as we've grown, about 7 or 8 years ago, we started to launch. We're headquartered in Detroit, but we started to launch our national branding division, really more as a project management department, so that we could support our automotive clients in Detroit who had manufacturing facilities nationally. And it really just continued to scale and grow from there. And we now service 3 to 4 dozen national clients, thousands and thousands of projects a year all over the whole country. The entire foundation of our national services is built on relationships with installation companies around the country.
Sure.
We can only do so much.
Right.
We can land the biggest client ever. We can build everything here. We can create it. We can get it ready to ship. But if we don't have that network of installers, and I'm not just speaking of Signoramas, we have some of the largest installers in the country that we do work with.
Sure.
Some incredible partners all over. The truth is, what we're seeing, the shakeup, what's been going on in the last few years, it's unsettling to the installers.
Oh.
And this is a little bit of a different thing. I don't think it's really talked about very often.
No.
Because the truth is, most of the big installers in any market, the bigger ones, they do rely on national work. They count on the big national sign companies to send them work, keep their trucks busy, keep their guys out on the road.
Right.
And some of the shakeup and the changes and the buyouts and the closures, people are getting a little bit worried. I see it as great opportunity. Most of the installers, the stronger ones, when we go to the ISA show and we do the networking events for installation partners, you can tell who's really on their game.
Right.
You can tell who they show up. They want to own their market. They recognize that there's shakeup in the national space. They recognize that they have to stand out in a bit of a crowd. And I just see what I'm seeing happening is the stronger and the more organized sign companies around the United States are starting to rise to the top. The industry, there's so much room. There's room for as many sign companies as you could get opened up. But the truth is, the stronger ones are really starting to bulk up. I see it. I have installers that we ship out work to that used to be in a 2-week lead time. Now they're in 5 days. And they're not in 5 days because they're slow. They're 5 days because they have 2 or 3 more trucks on the road now.
Interesting.
And a great team. And they have people in their office that respond quickly. I think if you take the negative approach and you think about the closures or the buyouts, you think about all of that in a negative way, your brain gets stuck. You start worrying about, am I going to have enough business? Can I support my team? Can I support our growth? There's so much work out there.
Yeah, there really
is.
is.
It's everywhere.
It is. That's an interesting perspective. I've had this discussion this year quite a bit. Never thought from an installation standpoint. Not one time, but that makes the most sense. Yeah. So are you seeing a thinning of the herd, so to speak, to where the survival of the fittest, the ones that are evolving, that are expanding, that are doing, like you said, adding equipment, adding good people, bulking up their team, are the little guys just fading away? I mean, what do you think is happening there? Because I'm seeing small sign shops close. Yeah. Or if they're smart, they convert to a Signorama or whoever, right? They franchise for some kind of support.
Yeah. The amount of conversions in the franchising world, I think it's actually the trend now for franchising. There's so many with all the franchises. They have locations in all major cities. So the real focus now is to find successful multi-year existing stores. Maybe it's a first or second generation, and convert them. And that's been great. I mean, I just met a family, George and his daughter and their team. They converted into a Signorama in the Pittsburgh area just in this past year.
Right.
I mean, they're already a 30-plus year sign company.
Right. That
is now adding everything that their background and their customers and their team into the mix. It's a really interesting change. They see the value of being a part of something a little bit bigger.
Sure.
Being a part of a family, a part of a group of people that just want to help.
Sure.
Very different than when I got started. I mean, everybody wanted to help, but we were literally making car magnets and birthday banners.
Right.
I mean, it's very,
not channel
very
letters and
different.
high rise.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's a different vibe now.
And that's interesting because that's the other thing that fascinates me is how much. So part of my journey in the sign industry, I work for Signs Now in Nashville, Tennessee. Linda and Ed, great people, ended up managing their downtown location. Kind of the same thing. I walked in with my little sign kit, with my Sharp Mac brushes and everything, and my squeegee and my 3M, rap artist stuff, and said, "I'll work free for you one day. If you like what you see, you hire me."
Love it.
And he smiled and said, "All right, let's see what you got." And by noon, I was working for him.
I love it.
So that franchise system showed me a lot. It showed me how franchising can be so instrumental with the systems.
Sure.
I think the problem with our industry, and it's not really a problem, the beauty of our industry, quite frankly, is that if you take a look at our industry, it was started by artisans and craftsmen, right? And then businessmen tried to make it theirs. And then you got this messy slop, and it's like the franchise system came and said, no.
Yeah.
If we put these systems in
Bottle
place,
this all up.
right,
Yeah.
we get rid of the businessmen trying to take out the creativity. Instead, we magnify it, but we systematize it in such a way that it's efficient,
Sure.
and it does add to the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting time in my career, was to go work for a franchise system and go, oh, this is the value. Honestly, I always had a bad attitude.
Yeah.
But I was desperate for a job at the time. I moved down for one job. Cummings actually was supposedly, going to expand their neon division.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to be a pattern maker, right? I'm going to the big city from little Pickle, Ohio. And I get down there and they're like, oh, because everything was snail mail. Oh, we decided not to do it. Sorry, you didn't get the. And at that time, on my trip down, that day I get the letter. And my mom goes, I call her and go, I just got the letter, honey. And I'm like, open it up, see what it says. And it just confirmed it.
Sure.
So I just walked in with my little kit. Next day, I started looking around, driving around. I saw it. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
But I was shocked at how much diversity they had. They had me airbrushing, cars, because they found I could airbrush. So I was airbrushing cars, and I was airbrushing Harleys and jet skis and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it started opening my eyes. But what's interesting is it's gone from graphic heavy oriented to heavy fabrication. Not all of the franchise system, but what would you say, 5-10% maybe of the franchise system has gone to full fabrication?
I think it's more. I do.
Really?
I think and I know a lot of different franchise systems, so not just speaking on the Signorama side,
Right.
but I would say easily 15, possibly 20%
Wow.
of franchise stores are doing some type of manufacturing outside of traditional print work. There's always the baby steps of engraving, getting a laser engraver,
Right.
and even some 3D printing and for ADA
Direct to
signs,
garment.
things like that.
Yeah.
The truth is, that's how we got started. One little project at a time, or you'd sell one big job, buy a little piece of equipment, and you just continue to
Right.
grow and grow. I am confident that a traditional sign shop that only focuses on print work is going to be in that same bubble. You're going to be right there for as long as you only do that. If you want to expand, you want to explore, you want to think about some different things that are exciting, just think about what your customers need. What is it your customers need? That's the direction to grow.
Yeah.
And I have friends all over the country that focus in their own niche area. Maybe it's just vehicle graphics, vehicle wraps.
Sure.
Maybe it's high-end print work for museums and ad agencies. Maybe it's just exterior dimensional graphics and channel letters. Maybe it's interior branded environments, wall wraps. I mean, you can't run out of ideas.
Yeah, there's so many niches.
You can't run out of the niches.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
What I'm seeing out there when I travel and talk to people is some of the really successful companies that come to mind right away. They do a really good job at becoming a total brand solution. So they are basically position themselves as we're your visual branding agency, not just a sign shop.
Yeah. Well, I think that's huge. It's actually been a fun trend for a long time. I think the people that are now wildly successful and have been in business for a long time, they saw that faster than others.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of really strong, large-scale sign companies that focused on full brand right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I think when small shops kind of started taking over the industry, I think what you would see is quick signs and fast, and I can get that done for you right away. I can have that designed by the end of the day. We can have it made in 2 days. That took away from the whole full brand concept. And now I think it's all coming back full circle. I think most strong, successful sign companies in franchising and independents, I think they recognize that their customers need more than one sign at a time.
Yeah.
When we go to market with a new restaurant that's opening up here in Detroit, even though they only think to ask us about the one sign, we immediately meet with them to talk about their interior brand. What does it look like when you walk in?
Yep.
What do your parking lot signs look like when your customers are leaving?
Oh yeah.
What is your team wearing?
Yes.
There's so many different pieces to it, and we don't solve all of those problems, but we have the conversation with them because we want to be the right consultant.
Right.
We want to be known as the expert for them.
That's nice. I like that. That's awesome. So if you were to give any advice, I like to always ask this, to someone who wants to get in the industry, you go back to yourself, back when even after, you're in college and you didn't even know they were building a signorama or put one in, what would you have told yourself then?
I love this question, Scott. I'm going to start with that. I think we could talk about this for a full hour.
Oh yeah, easy.
I am very, very passionate about introducing the sign industry to the next generation of people, because that's exactly what happened to me. And I know how much it changed my career path. It changed my life. It changed the people that I got to know. I've literally traveled the world because of the sign industry. And that blows my mind sometimes. I think back and I just think, to have had the opportunity to travel not only to other states, but literally to other countries, to talk to people that do the same thing we do here, but they do that in Australia and they do that in London.
Right.
It blows my mind. And I love talking to people that are coming into the workforce and making sure that they know that there is a career path out there that gives them all of that exposure.
Oh, for sure.
There's no limit. And the sign and graphics industry, I've never had a day where I feel bored.
No.
I've never had a day where I think, man, I really wish I didn't have to deal with all of that, because every day is uniquely different.
Sure.
We have the same type of products, we have the same type of customers, but it's always a little bit different. When we bring interns in the summer, it is our entire mission for them, even if maybe they're in design school. It would be easy to take the traditional path and have them intern in our design department.
Well, yeah, of course.
We go way past that.
Okay.
We want them to be in production first.
Nice.
If you're a designer, you have an eye for design, we want you to spend a week, 2 weeks actually making signs.
So you understand what it takes to make your design.
What does it really take to make that thing that you're hoping to design?
Yep.
And then we'll actually give them a week out on the road with our top salespeople. How do you communicate with a client?
That's awesome.
If you want to be in the sign industry or the graphics industry or visual industry at all, and you can't speak to other humans,
you got problems.
You're probably not going to get really far, right?
No.
So what ends up happening is we find these interns or these people that come to us from different sectors, and they realize, wow, I had no idea. I thought all I needed to do was this. I thought my lane was right here, but now I see there's a lane over here, and there's a lane over here.
Yep.
And I love introducing people to all the aspects of the sign industry.
Me too.
And there's a group of people, yourself included, that can talk passionately and can get people motivated and can not only talk about your past, but what can you do different? How can you think differently? The letters that we get from interns when they leave, it reminds me that we're doing it right. We're doing it for the right reasons. We've never ever brought an intern in with a plan or a design where, well, that person needs to work for us at the end of the day. Like our whole mission is to just bring them in, they have to work for us. No, our mission is to introduce them to an industry that they otherwise wouldn't have been introduced to.
Right, and let them make the decision.
Absolutely, and show them the excitement and show them what is out there and what's available.
And re-spark my favorite phrase, what if? What if?
Yep.
What if my degree could lead me back here? What if I applied myself in the back, learned all of it, and then I could start my own shop one day or have a franchise? Or what if I could run a crew for Bob, right, or whomever? Yeah, I think that is critical, is the exposure.
Sure.
So that's one of the things for a highly visual industry. I mean, think about this, that's what we do. We are horrible at promoting ourselves.
Yeah.
Hence why this podcast, and other things like that are starting to happen. Other people are doing them too, because people are trying to go, look, this industry, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere and not see someplace that a sign company has touched. Whether it's the exterior sign, it's the lobby signs, it's a wall graphic, it's their vehicles, it's like you said, they touch something.
Stadiums, churches, schools, office
it.
buildings. It's absolutely everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest thing that I see us struggle with is maintaining as technology gets better and people are able to get in, there's no barrier of entry. The barrier of entry is gone.
It's true.
Right? So now with no barrier of entry, back in the day, what I mean by barrier of entry is back in the day, I started hand penning when I was young. That was tough to learn.
It takes skill and it takes training.
Lots of training,
Absolutely.
right? So it takes some dedication.
Yep.
The day that I went into another sign shop to get some signs made, and he had this machine sitting there, right? And I was working at BW3s at the time. And they said, well, you got a sign background. Once you go and get these sandblasted, we want some sandblasted signs. I said, okay, find this company, go to it. Hank Pryor, More Than Sign Shop, one of my favorite mentors I've had, walked in, and I'm looking at this machine. I'm like, what is that? And it said Gerber on the side of it. And I'm like, what is that? And they puts this card in, types in some stuff, and it starts cutting the letters. And I'm going, oh, this is going to change things.
Mm-hmm.
So us being the way we're built, I love technology too, obviously, with mobile setup and everything else.
Sure.
Love technology. I'm like, I wonder if I can hook up a Mac Classic to that. Took me about a week, and I figured it out. I had a special cable made for it, hooked it up, and it worked. And I had a whopping 10 fonts on that Mac, but it worked.
Love it.
And I'll never forget, Hank stood back and he goes, everything just changed. So what he's like, I'm going to have to double down on three-dimensional products because now my everyday bread and butter is going to be stolen with people that have no skill set.
Yep.
Now I'm paraphrasing my own words, but that's basically what he said. And I'm going, I don't know what you mean. Now I'm 53, ministry's long, and I go, oh yeah. And I think that is, I bring that story up because I think that's part of the problem is you have two different mindsets. You have one mindset that says, oh, we're done. And the other mindset, like us, that goes, ooh, what can we do with that?
Sure.
Right? And I think that's really the crossroad we're at. We got people trying to hold on to the way it's always been done, from distribution to manufacturers to sign makers, right? When I say manufacturers, the one that provides all the pieces and parts for you guys to make your products. And then on the other side, you got a few of them going, what if again, right? Yeah. What if? What if we did it this way? Or what if, we actually acted like a partner and sat down quarterly and had a meeting with our top 50 customers and said, how can we be better for you this year or the next quarter? Or what projects you got coming up that we can help you with?
Sure.
Do we really do that? You might.
We do on our side, but I can tell you, even kind of thinking about the distribution chain and vendors and partners, I can see who the outliers were 15, 20 years ago because I see where they're at now. For you to be repping all of these different brands, all these different companies, and the products that you get to walk in the door with confidence instead of a giant portfolio of all this stuff and you only want to talk about 10% of it.
Right.
You are at a stage now in your career where you get to talk about the companies that you believe in.
Oh, yeah,
the ones that you know should be in place with your best customers.
Without a doubt.
I have a fantastic relationship with a gentleman named Mike Brown. Mike, back in the day, I mentioned, well before emails, well before all of that good stuff, before digital printers, Mike worked for Fellers back when they were called Ameriban.
I remember it. I used to order from them.
Yeah, here in Detroit, when we needed to make a banner for a church, for a company, for whatever that was, we had to actually call Ameriban.
Yep.
And we had to tell them what size banner we needed.
Yep.
And whether we needed grommets, whether we needed rope sewn in. And I would call a guy named Mike, and Mike's fantastic. Back then, he would, every time, okay, Bob, no problem, I'll have it done into the day. It didn't matter if I ordered 1 or 30. Mike was the guy on the table, cutting the banners, hemming them, sewing them, doing everything that it took.
Wow.
The industry was at a place where you had to actually buy the banners pre-made
so you
could squeegee your graphics on them.
Yep.
And as we fast forward, and the industry obviously changed substantially, Ameriban became Fellers. They went into this whole life cycle of wanting to be the largest wrap supplier in the world.
Right.
Mike became one of their top salespeople and really customer service. He didn't really have to sell anything because he was so service driven. The same guy that was making the banners for years became the guy that we relied on to get product to our store. And fantastic partner, great guy. I fast forward to where we're at now to today.
Yeah.
Mike's no longer with Fellers. He's actually running an entire part of the country for Avery Dennison.
Okay.
He's the guy knows more about vinyl. He's forgotten more about vinyl than I'll ever know, if I'm being really honest. He's brilliant. But now he has the resource of one of the largest vinyl suppliers in the world.
Yeah.
Not only to support their clients, but to be innovative and to think about new products. And all of this came from back in the day when he was the guy that I would call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I needed to pick up a banner by 5.
But it all started off, and this is the one thing I would go back and tell myself. I never had a problem working hard. I grew up with a father, do it right, or don't do it at all. Don't be lazy. I mean, and actually I'm probably a workaholic. So I've never had a problem with that. What I've had a problem with is, dang it, I want to be here now.
Yeah.
Right? So that patience to know that this is a journey, and through that journey, you're not making what you want to make, but you're learning to create value for the people that pay you, and you're learning something. And I always say, when you stop learning and they don't value you anymore, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
If they value you and you're learning, then stay there. If they value you and you're not learning, talk to them.
Yep.
I'm not learning anymore. I know you value me. Where else can I be of value? That's what I would tell myself.
Sure.
I would go back and say, live that way. And my career path wouldn't have been like that, right? It would have been, still a little bit, because that's just life. But it would have been a little more of a straight trajectory. Yeah. The great thing is, my belief system, God uses everything, right? So I'm looking at going, but I'm now using absolutely everything I've learned, even through my follies, even through my impatience, in what I do.
Yeah.
But I never thought I would start an agency.
Yeah.
At 49 years old,
and kill it.
And here we are. So it's an interesting time, and I think that's the point. I love that you said, I don't want them to work for us. I want to introduce them to. That is such a great thing. I'm definitely stealing that, because I think that's a great mindset.
Well, if you think about 15, 20 years from now, if you introduce someone to our industry, and all you need to do is give them the exposure.
Right.
There's no promises, there's no guarantees here, but if you give them the exposure, there's always the chance that they're going to think of something bigger and bolder and more exciting than even we can think about.
Absolutely.
And if I have the chance in 20 years to see someone else's success
that
came up with something wild and outrageous and did something brilliant, and I just know that I was one piece of one day where I had a conversation with them.
Sure.
That would be my ultimate success. That would be, at the end of the day, when my time comes to not have to punch a clock every day, that to me would be as fulfilling as anything else I've ever done.
That's awesome. So back to the onion we started peeling to wrap up.
Sure.
Okay. If I'm hearing you correctly, the traditional sides that we need to now bring back, or the foundation that we now to shear up and make sure it's nice and there, right? Something that we can build innovation off of, is back to the human touch relationship using technology.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
There's an unwavering reality that I think we all have to deal with. Okay. You deal with this all day, I deal with it all day. When you get home, you call your wife and you say, you know what, I think we're going to have pizza tonight. Do you just show up at the pizza place and order a pizza?
You're on the app.
And stand there
you're
and
on
wait?
The app. No, you're not even close.
Do you even call anymore?
No.
And call ahead and order the pizza? No.
Oh.
You get on the app before you even leave your office or wherever your last appointment was.
Sure.
You order it and you tell them what time you want it done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And most likely, as soon as you open up the app, it tells you what you ordered last time.
And shows you how long it's going to take.
Yeah, so you don't mess up your wife's favorite order of how she likes your pizza.
And she thinks you're brilliant because you remembered.
Absolutely. Exactly. So what we're really seeing there is a level of technology that's personalized.
Yeah.
That is about human interaction.
Yeah.
As much as it takes away, you're not calling and speaking to somebody, it still makes it yours. It still personalizes it. And I think that our industry is behind. I think
way behind.
At the end of the day, if you try to get your company, your team into a mode of how do we support our customers completely,
right,
infinitely, how do we support the customer's needs,
right,
all the time, then you will be wildly successful. If you're trying to think of how do I find good customers that support me, you're never going to really make it. You'll be busy.
Yeah.
But if I only go after customers that keep my team busy, then we're stuck. We're in the same spot year after year.
Exactly right.
If we build a team that focuses on how do we support our customer, no matter what they need, and what is their method, what do they need?
Right.
Fantastic.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. That spurs another thought, and that thought is, if the technology is personalized to our need in the moment, and we're utilizing it that way, what is the focus of the relationship? what's interesting is I think we're moving back to our roots, and that is away from a transactional relationship to an actual relationship.
Absolutely.
That goes deeper to understand the needs and the desires of the customer, not just the surface crap, or not just data, or not just analytics, but it goes deeper. Would you agree with that?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I received an email recently from a customer, a 15-plus year client, and he was my customer for many, many years.
Okay.
He only dealt with me. I literally sold him the signs. I project managed the work for him. Great client. But I don't really do that part anymore, right? He's now in the hands of some really capable people on my team. And I got an email from him just a few weeks ago that said, Bob, I just really miss having you in on emails. I just miss knowing that you're connected to my projects. And don't get me wrong, your team's doing a great job. Our deadlines are on, pricing's great. I just wanted you to know that I kind of miss that interaction of you jumping in on some of our projects. And that caused me to lean back a little bit.
I bet.
And just to think, what I'm hearing is I have a great repeat client that's older than my youngest child. This guy's been buying signs from me, and I haven't had the right touch point for him. I haven't figured out to at least be involved enough to communicate and to jump in on his jobs, not to change anything or get in the way or, but he just wanted that human touch.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to change the process. He doesn't need me to fix anything.
Right.
He just wanted to know that I was still involved and that I was still touching his jobs. It was eye-opening.
Yeah.
We're always growing. We're always readjusting and tweaking and making changes. And that meant that I had to slow down a little bit, and I had to think about how can I support that client.
Interesting.
And what other clients are out there that are feeling the same way.
Right, exactly.
No matter how far technology goes and how great of systems you have in place and what software you use to track your jobs and all of that, at the end of the day, people that buy signs are expecting some type of a relationship with you.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a commodity product.
There's
no widgets.
It's not a commodity product if we make sure we don't let it be a commodity product. There's a lot of them out there I'm seeing. I'm just saying, I'm seeing a lot of people these days all over the United States that we make widgets. Yeah. Banner's a banner. Is it? Does it need slits? Is it going on a fence? Is it going on a building? Where's it going?
Do they really even need a banner? Maybe they need something else.
Maybe they need something better. Maybe they need to rent an EMC center from you because it's a special event. I think that a lot of people are using technology as an excuse not to be personal with it.
Yeah.
Because technology is like anything else, just like the AI debate right now, right? Everyone's with AI. Well, it's like anything else. You can use it for good or evil. It's like capitalism. I'm going to probably get people like death threats and stuff, but capitalism is nothing but a tool, and it produces a result according to the motives of the individual using it. So back in the day, the Henry Fords and stuff, they did it because they were trying to make their work life better for their people and produce great products and make America better and so on and so forth, right? Nowadays, if you're not careful, it's all about me, right? How much money can I make? How much profit can I make? You've heard the old story about the chowder, right? There was this chowder stand up in Massachusetts, just phenomenal. People would line up. I'm not kidding you. They would line up around the corner and just get buckets of it, not just for that night, but they'd get an extra big bucket of it because they wanted to heat it up later, home. Right? Sure. Take it home, right? Say, get it for lunch, get it to take it home with the family. It was that good. Retirement age, no kids, sold it. Guy comes in and says, look at all the ingredients, because the broth is so thick, no one's ever going to, and they start watering down the chowder. And slowly the line started going. He realized what he did, went back to the original recipe, and by then it was too late. Yeah. They now had a brand image of a cheap product that used to be good. And I think that we do that with everything if we're not careful.
Sure.
If we don't put the customer at the center. Now, yes, customers can be difficult, but if you get to know them, they're not as difficult.
No.
We're all built the same.
Yep.
We all want those same things. We all have mostly the same needs for the most part.
Yep.
So a little different challenges,
sure,
but for the most part, same needs. So yeah, I think we're at a very interesting time, and it's great to hear your view on it and see what you guys are doing. I've loved spending the last couple of days with you and your team. I'm impressed, very. Always been impressed by you, but where you've come and now where you're going, because you're not done. You never stop, and I love that.
It's big
You and I
plans.
have the same philosophy. And the minute you stop learning, might as well put me in a coffin, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want to be here anymore. I love to learn something new, push the limits, and my favorite question of what if, just asking that along the way.
Yeah.
Meeting great people like you, learning a few new things every day. It's been a privilege being here. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Sure.
Is there any last thought you want to leave us with before we sign off?
Oh, the great one. I do want to let you know I've enjoyed the last couple of days. So every one of the sessions that you've had with my team, with different departments, I just sneak into the back of the room to take pictures so that I can send them to you, so that I can get them up on our wall. Because the truth is, you've come in the last couple of days and you've had a big impact. And maybe this sounds easy to talk about on a podcast when you ask me to talk, but we've also sat at many sign association meetings.
Yeah.
We've been to all these different things, and our relationship goes a little bit further than most. And I think it's important for you to know when you get to come in and have an entire room filled with fabricators.
Yeah, that's
and
a big
actually keep all of their attention and actually get them to start asking questions.
deal. Yeah,
That's a big deal. That's not easy. And
I
then
appreciate that.
by the time I get home that night, I get 3 different text messages from 3 different fabricators asking why we didn't get you out here earlier. That's great. It really is fantastic. So I do appreciate that. The chance to chat on the podcast is awesome as well. So
This is one of few.
Excited, yeah.
I want to come back and do a follow-up after you, because I know right now you're adding,
Yeah.
you're decorating, you're doing things, and you're just being real innovative with the building, because that's just you. You're an innovator. So of course you're going to do with the building, right?
Sure.
So when you feel it's done, we'll do a follow-up.
sounds great.
And I'll actually bring cameras, and we'll walk around. We'll mic each other up, and
Yeah.
we'll walk around and do a full.
That'd be great.
Let's check it out and see what
Yeah.
all you got done, because I think it's really impressive. And it's not just that the building's impressive. You just got a vision for how you're going to maximize it in order to really impact other people.
Sure.
And if anything I've learned from you that I think is just so inspiring is every day you have to get up, no matter what we do, guys. Every day we have to get up, and we have to ask ourselves, how are we going to impact our families and our industry? Whatever our craft is, it doesn't matter if you're a sign maker or not. Whatever you do for a living, how am I going to impact that group in a positive manner that's going to push the ball, and how am I going to grow in that process?
Yep.
I see that all around here. It's always, okay, great, not good enough, how do we change it? Great, good job, how do we enhance it?
Yep.
It's never, okay, it's good enough. It's just good enough.
Sure.
Never that. So I love that, and I appreciate you being one of those leaders in this industry that
No,
keeps pushing the
I
boundaries.
appreciate it. You're making me think about a little bit of a moment of my morning. My 13-year-old son, we were in opposite directions. He was running out the door as I was grabbing coffee and ready to go the other way. And
Sure.
we didn't really even get to say good morning. And he sent me a text, and after he'd already left the house to go to school, and he said, "Dad, have a great day at work," which he's pretty good about that, right? He's pretty good with that.
That's awesome.
And I responded to him a message that he gets all the time, and his older siblings have gotten many times. And I said, "Declan, just make it a great day today. And you're responsible for that. You're in charge of making it a great day."
Yeah.
And I try to teach my kids that all the time. You're going to have all these things smack you in the face all day, right?
all
You
day
can
long.
easily just let it hit you, and you
Right.
can easily get down on it. But at the end of the day, you're in charge.
Yep.
You're in
You
charge
are.
of how you feel. You're in charge of how you react to things. You're in charge of how others react to things.
Sure.
Even if you think it's on them to react, you still can change the vibe and change the mode around everybody. It's a great reminder. We try to live that here at our sign shop.
Yep.
Not just within our team, but with our clients. You did ask me what would be my parting words. What would be the last thing that I could think of, and I have a bit of a vision that I think your podcast could be really the first perfect time for me to put it out there.
Awesome. I'm honored. This is great.
I've been a board member for the Midwest Sign Association for a number of years, and when I first started attending, I was definitely the odd man out. These are big dog sign shops, a lot of fabricating, a lot of trucks, a lot of everything. And,
Sure.
And they looked at me with a franchise logo, a Signorama logo, and said, "Who is this guy?
Right.
Why is he talking?"
That stigma.
All this whole stuff. And it took time, but I had to earn their trust. I had to earn their respect.
Of course.
And some of them are great friends now, really, really close. And we tease each other about those early days. So I would love on your podcast which I know is going to go to sign shops of all sizes.
Sure.
Right? Brand new startup stores, independents, franchise, big sign manufacturers, vendors. I would love for sign companies, regardless of your size and the length of time, to just get enough confidence to go knock on the door to somebody who's not like you. If you're a brand new sign company and you've only been in business for 6 months or 12 months, go knock on the door to a big sign shop.
Oh, that's great.
And don't be defeated if they won't talk to you. Just go to the next one.
Yeah.
But you would be amazed at what could happen when you walk in the door to a large sign shop in your area that just knows you're just trying to make it and you're trying to build a business.
Yep.
And then vice versa. If you're part of a big sign company and you have a ton of people that you work with and all that, go visit a small shop. Go visit somebody that just opened. Don't treat them like a competitor.
That's great.
Talk
really
to them
good.
about how you can work together and how you can help each other. There is so much sign work out there. If you truly feel like your day needs to be spent competing with other people, you're going to be stuck there.
Oh, you will.
You're just going to be stuck.
You will.
So that would really be my biggest bit of advice, is to try to think of somebody outside of your normal circle of who you don't normally talk to in the industry and try to build a relationship.
That is fantastic advice. I love that. Well, on that note, can't go any further, any better than that in my opinion. So until next time, gang, sign on.